I'm full screen, so we're gonna scare a lot of you.
So we're live on YouTube.
Right, wear black.
I just fade away.
It is 5:32 on Tuesday, May 20th. This is the Board of Directors meeting. I'll call our roll. We got Charles Toohey here, Sam Wells, Josephine Graves is absent, Natisha is absent. Mark Bob Semple, he may make it or he may not. I believe he's coaching tonight. I've got Anthony, Juanita, and David. Thank you for being here. 5 of us needed for quorum. There's 5 of us here. 1 vacancy exists. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great, and then we can begin the meeting. So we have the roll call we did, and do we have any public comment?
Nothing received, nobody.
Okay. In your packet, next you have your review and approval of prior meeting minutes of April 15th. Do I have a motion? Second?
I'll do.
Anthony, David?
Any additions, corrections, deletions? I didn't say that.
Just item C under 5,
Okay.
45,
Oh, B.
yeah, I think that's supposed to be Yates.
Yeah,
What is it?
It says Beeve, but I think it's supposed to be Yates.
that is 8th Street. Thank you.
I missed that one?
In the back on
B5?
page 2, yeah, C, no,
C.
report of committees, C, enforcement and compliance.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Read that 297 on
Oh,
Terrace.
Beaver Street.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Yates.
Yeah.
It's actually not even supposed to be Beaver Street, it's just Yates Street.
Okay. I don't know how we have the 8s to B, but we'll fix that. It takes a village. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor of accepting the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, minutes accepted. Report of the ED.
All right, well,
Okay.
good evening. I did send out my staff memo to you, starting to get our feedback under us again. A couple of things just to point out is that on April 13th, as you know, we took our red X off the building at 257 Second Street, so I included a picture there on that, just for your memories. We got that back in January of 2021. It had been vacant ever since. So Lynette's been actively showing that property. We have some folks who are interested. I saw one, I think today, just helping them understand the process to complete the homeowner education course. Anything you want to add to that?
We have about 3 applications, is that correct, Shelby?
Yeah, we have 2 and then 1 that's in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll hopefully bring that back to you next month. If they're we have multiple qualified applicants, we'll do our normal lottery there. So
Do you have a bank we want to send them to?
I don't know. Do you know what banks they're working with?
One of them is working with Arrow, but they need a grant prior to getting accepted with Arrow. And then the other one is working on getting a loan.
Okay.
That one hasn't been approved anywhere just yet.
What, are we having AHC do the vetting or the screening?
On this one, no, we were just doing the initial because we haven't had a lot come in.
Because they have a family bank they deal with, so ours are what the customer wanted, is their bank.
Yeah,
That's how you,
so once an applicant did come in and she asked for some guidance.
Yeah.
And we sent her to, well, we didn't send her, but we gave her contact information for Housing Authority.
For the housing partnership?
Yes,
The
Housing
Affordable
Authority, yeah,
Partnership,
Affordable Housing
Christina.
Partnership.
Mhm.
Yeah, Christina, we gave Christina information, yeah.
So that's moving along, so hopefully next month, so we'll have that back to you. Just updates, Elizabeth left last month, and so we've had a full-time and a part-time position posted. Lynette screened some people this week. There's some potential good candidates there that we're hoping to meet with early next week.
where did she go to?
She went to, not Park Strategy was here, Capitol Hill Management, the extension. So she's out there working on some of the association work that they do.
Salary, what was the most?
She said more salary, larger office, but no, I think she's hopefully going to do well there, but we're already moving ahead, so.
Yep, okay.
I'd say the one thing that we, did, tweak a little bit is rather than go directly, I think we know that the community engagement is important, But rather than tie that into somebody's single role, we just all acknowledge that we all have a role in community engagement. And Shelby's picked up a lot of the pieces that Elizabeth was working on too. And Shelby was very much interested in that, so we're glad to have her involved. You'll see actually a lot of the social media work and some of the updates and refresh on graphics have all been at Shelby's hands. So I want to acknowledge her. She's doing a great job there.
We noticed.
Great.
Audit and finance, just like a quick update there. Same thing I gave to the committee. If you're curious on what we're doing cash-wise, I got some bullets there, and I'll just walk through that. Some of the lines refer back to the financial reports. If you want to crosswalk those, we're able to. But right now on our balance sheet, we have a healthy cash balance at more than $3.4 million. We still have our outstanding grant receivables of more than $800,000, which that'll grow with our LBI Phase 2 money. We have some current payables of $143,000, and then we're currently relying on almost $69,000 in equity to balance our books right now. We are running at an operational deficit. Some of that's due to timing, some of that's due to expenses that we don't always anticipate. For example, just this next month is at Stephen Street. We have the emergency demo after the fire department noticed a crack at the back of the building. We went back and looked at our prior inspections before I arrived here, so before Lynette and Shelby as well. We had a lot of interior photos, but I don't know why nobody got to the back of the building. So, but regretfully, that had to come down. That's at least $160,000. When we took that building down, we have to weatherproof the building next to it because those were up against each other. It was a 4-story brick building. So it was part of a Legacy Cities project, or we had held that back for Legacy Cities. I will say that I have reached out to the people we have identified for the Legacy Cities project and let them know that we have to sit down and talk about those because they're not moving at the speed that they need to move. And so at least one of the folks there, acknowledges that and wants to just pare back to a single building, and we want to be able to get an option agreement with them as we're holding that back for that project. On the profit and loss, I'm sorry, I'm going to update you on this. I'm looking at this, and for some reason, my January notes are here. These are not my April notes. So, negate what I just said. I'm going to give you an update on that. I have it somewhere up here. So we'll move through to operations. I don't know why this is not the right one. I'm not looking at Shelby. It's not your fault. This is
Oh,
my
yeah,
fault for not
it's
getting the right one anyway. I worked on this and it must not have synced up when I saved it. So I'll only turn up here to the screen because I'll walk you through some of the current stats there. Because this is something that Charlie asked about in the committee meetings, just to give you an overview of where we are overall with properties right now. Right now, we own 246 properties, 71 are available vacant lots, 3 are available vacant buildings, 76 of our properties are being held for co-development, and then we have 83 properties we tagged as not available. 20 of those are for the Flip the Block project. 7 other properties are with Habitat for the 105 initiative. There's another 56 properties that have various reasons they're not available. There's a title issue, they're in evaluation, and so on and so forth. So the scattering there. And then there's 13 properties that are either in process to you now or have a sale pending. And so that's where we are overall with our current stats. I'll walk you through any questions on those pieces.
So on the 56 others,
Yes.
they just sit there, or do we have to work on them? Is there something going on for each one of them? Or?
We have to work on some of them. So some of them are title issues, and we're talking with the county as we realize that they were a problem during the acquisition period. We're having the county take those back and redo those probably in the fall and send them back to us with the title being corrected.
So of the 56, how many have title problems?
8, less than 10.
10, okay.
Yeah, so
what
it's
about the other 46?
It's a scattering of different ones. I can give you a more
Yeah,
definitive.
I'm just trying to figure out what we're doing with the ones that are the others.
Yeah. Oh, we're working through those.
It
There's,
cost us to hold on to them, so we just, what do we do in terms of?
that's what we're working through these ones. Some of them are, you remember what some of those other
Yeah,
ones are?
some of them were set
Yeah.
aside for possible projects.
Yeah, okay.
So right now, we're actually going through all of them now to determine which
Yeah,
ones.
so you're gonna have a little paragraph on each one.
Mhm.
So, you know, what are we doing on this one? What are we doing on that one?
Well, we're not there yet.
No, I know that. No, that's what you wanna get to though.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you wanna know exactly what's in your inventory and how to move them out.
Exactly. So that's why we're actually going through those, so.
Yeah, some of those are, they're banked too, like there's, the two on Livingston Avenue that we didn't sell that we're banking. So
because.
it's like
But
2
when a house
year,
or
1
something,
year, yeah. And so actually those 56, so I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit in terms of, you know, what we're gonna do and talk about in governance. Those 56 are 56 that we want to talk with the real estate committee about when we get to the real estate.
Okay, great.
So that's also why they're sort of floating around out there.
Okay.
On the other pieces, let me walk you through what's happening in the development clusters. The South End cluster, so you know that's 65 land bank properties.
What page is that on our thing here?
These are just my slides here.
Yeah, but we need to follow you on this. And you gave us this packet.
Yeah, if you want to look through the,
What page is it on?
this is on the 3rd page of my report. I'm going to walk through just the total value project.
Okay.
What's that?
Section 4, right?
Yeah, the planning, the project here. So you'll see there's a chart here with circles at the bottom of your page, and it's in section 4, tab 4.
Yeah.
And that, one flip of the page in, bottom of that page.
Municipal
inside.
approvals, that's where they're at.
So that the municipal approval stage, so this is 65 properties again, plus others that we have from the city of Albany and then 2 from Habitat. So that's 166 units of affordable housing with the apartments for rent and 10 townhouses with affordable home ownership opportunities. The big update I want to give you on this one, one is that we're talking with the developer about timing of the acquisition of those city and Habitat properties. We're working through the details on that. It adds some costs to the project to facilitate that, but it makes it more convenient for them at closing. So we're just working through that because it's not a budgeted cost that we have to do that. So a little bit to work through. The other 10, and again, when we get to a real estate committee, this would be more for them. But we have spoken to the developer on those. Their skill is at the affordable housing units. The 10 home ownership opportunities, I think they're struggling with a little bit. Not that they couldn't get it done, but they think there's somebody else better out there to do that. I did have a good chance to catch up with Christine from Habitat. They've been in touch with Habitat. So there might be an opportunity where Habitat actually has an interest in these 10 affordable homeownership opportunities and can move them up in their project schedule because it would give them a concentration to work on in one place versus where they have, a scattering of sites there. So, unless there's some large objection here, I'm going to ask the development team to continue talking to Habitat to see what they might be able to work out there.
This doesn't surprise me because all regular affordable housing developers are not homeownership people.
Mhm.
It's not, there's no money in it. That's why we extracted this from them. If we hadn't raised it, there would be no homeownership. And so the fact that they got cold feet, that's okay because we got Habitat, we got affordable housing partnership, there are other ways to do that, which is fine. We don't have to say, you guys changed your mind and left us hanging. No.
Yeah, and it was something that we took a look, as we were thinking about this, about another expansion to block by block. I mean, we're already committed to 15 in the West Hill cluster.
Yeah. But that makes it more attractive to someone who's gonna build it.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna talk to Habitat, and if that works out, great. If it doesn't, then we may take a look at something with block by block.
I just
I
can't
see
remember.
homeownership, in terms of scaling up homeownership, is bundling, 5, I like to say 5, and, at least 5,
Mhm.
right? And then there's state thresholds for applying for money. But that way you can get the homeownership out in a fragmented way, but at least it gets going, as opposed to waiting for these big developers who are just sitting there. So if you bundle 5 and bundle 10 and you get a favorite contractor that says, oh yeah, I can do these 5, all you gotta do is, it's a function thing. You build the house, affordable housing partnership, we sell it, we'll take care of the cash flow. And they'll say, oh, I can do that.
Right. I just,
Have them do what they do best, which is just build the house.
yeah, I can't remember if there was a financial component to those 10 houses, 10 townhouses for us or not. I don't, it's been a while since I looked at that contract that we had with them. Whether there was a portion of the proceeds from the sale that we get or what the mechanism was there, I can't remember. I was just honestly look, take a second and look back at that and make sure we're not losing out on anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
we'd open it back up and then see what they're, what they're asking for.
And if it is, I'm sure there's a way we can work around it.
Yes.
Just want to make sure we don't forget about that.
Henry Johnson Boulevard, Clinton Avenue cluster, so that's 8 properties that we own. There's also properties from the city that are involved here. The overall project, as you know, is 5 2-unit townhouses. Most of our project is the 38 affordable apartments, and then there's 4 3-unit townhouses. There's also 5 minor projects for the construction rehab of existing townhomes. So this has all of its municipal approvals granted. The project is moving ahead. This is one, though, we are talking with the developer, Home Leasing, and I think this came out in a committee meeting, that they're looking at what their options are for this project. So the real estate team at Whiteman has been advising us on this. And we've talked to them, and the city, us and the developer all trying to figure out options. I think what may end up happening is they may try to find somebody else who will take this project on. It's so far along in its approvals, it's pretty much packaged up. But they have to show to us what their potential plan is here, and then we have to look at all of the clauses in the agreement for assignment, and if they can assign this project over. So stay tuned on that. I'm not worried that the project's going to go away, but it just may not be Home Leasing doing it. They may find somebody to take the project on.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Metropolitan still involved in this development?
Not directly. I mean, when we get to the mixed use component, I know they have an interest in some of the space there,
Mm-hmm.
but not at this phase, I should say.
Not at that stage, the design has ground floor space, the community space, whether it's Home Leasing or another person, the design is set. So it's not time for them yet because we haven't built it yet.
Mhm.
But they're still in the loop,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
okay?
yeah. It's just not the time for them. We have to wait for build the thing.
This has been going on for the last 3 or 4 years.
Development this is a long process. Yeah, so where we can try to pick up steam, we are. That's why I think the South End project and potential interest high habitat may help us move that homeownership piece along. And then on Ontario and West Streets, those are our 3 properties. Those are originally 5, 3 now, because we did take those 2 pieces off and sold those to Pat Chu, who, by the way, if you take a ride over there, has already been gutting those buildings. He wasted no time getting to work on the properties across on Ontario and Bradford. So we have 3 lots here, 76 units of affordable apartments, 4-story mixed-use building with a daycare center. This is moving along quite well. We're trying to get all the approvals done by the end of the summer so they can take this into financing with the state. We solved the design question that the city had, the city's engineers and the DGS and emergency responders had about that cul-de-sac. That cul-de-sac stays. They had asked the engineer to present some other options with a hammerhead and then this connection out to Bradford, but this seems to be the one that's gonna, I shouldn't say seems, this is the one that works best for all those options out there. It was just cul-de-sac was an unusual feature in the city. But given what we're trying to do with the parking, it was the one that was most feasible here. So, we're expecting the financing on that to be in 2026 to move that along. So everything is still on track. So if you're trying to keep track of where projects may close, we're going to see financing South End later this year, Ontario and West Streets in 2026, and then once we work out what's happening with Henry Johnson Boulevard and Clinton Avenue, see that piece come along.
Is that design overlay recent?
That is the one that was last seen by the city. I just see it. I think that's what there's about a little bit of a
Street in
tweak.
that. It's hard for me to.
This is the old building we didn't.
Yeah.
Project Drive,
So
yeah.
this is,
That's Ontario Street. The cul-de-sac is West Street.
Central's up here.
It's been, Anthony, that has been modified a little bit because the turning radius on the cul-de-sac wasn't right.
Okay.
So conceptually, that's still accurate, but the finer details have been updated. We haven't gotten an updated rendering with that yet. So we're
Okay.
still,
I was enamored by the green space. I was trying to get the scale of the green space.
Yeah.
Because that's the only green space in that neighborhood.
That'd be good.
I think they're, trying to keep it somewhat similar to the Center for Disability Services is next door.
Yeah, there's
You
some
know,
green space.
there's some green space there, so I think they're trying to match that, that development
That
overall.
would make that nice if stays that way.
And then on the Flip the Block project, still moving ahead. Lynette's reached out to Bill Lake Homes on the modulars. I'm gonna set up a meeting with Pioneer Bank for next
Is there
week.
a slide today?
No, I don't have a slide for that one there. Because we don't really have, I guess I could show you the lots there. I'll update that next time. But just nothing has really changed other than we're just trying to line up all these different pieces together. So with the modular homes, with talking to Pioneer Bank about financing, we're gonna see where they're at. We'll reach out to M&T. I believe I had said to the board previously, the state is going to give us an exception to the block by block program where they normally would allow 10 properties in at a time. Because we have 15 in the neighborhood, they're gonna allow us to amend that paperwork up to 15 and bring 15 projects in at that same at the funding level by building.
Charlie, there's a map over there.
Thank
on the
you.
poster
Oh,
board.
thank you.
Yeah, I can
See something.
bring it over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew I had one in here.
yeah. I was admiring it before the meeting started.
Why don't you just tell us what we're looking at?
Yeah, so on here you'll see orange and blue. These are the properties that we either hold or there's going to be some transfers with Habitat that will cluster some up. Where you see the orange, we're planning for 2-family houses. There are 10 of those in this project. And then where you see the blue, those are single-family houses.
That's 5. I thought we had 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The total project is 17 units.
Maybe this is an older one.
No, this is, what am I missing? 2, 4, 6, 8. 6, 10, 15.
It's 15. How many do you?
You're right. Let me find out where that other. I might have.
Yeah,
amended
there's
this.
15
Yeah, there's
total.
15
The
there.
project's supposed to be 17.
2 of them are rehabs.
Okay, which ones are they?
Well, 257's on there, which is why I'm
Where is that?
scratching my head. It's the blue one at the top.
Well, then that's one of the.
I know that's one of them. So let me,
that
yeah,
That still doesn't get up to
let me
17.
find that. This is Will's map. So let me get in there and.
Yeah, well, we need an updated map of what we're doing.
Yeah. So that's the general, so community, 2 other things. 360 Sheridan Avenue, that project has been moving along. I did give Charlie an extensive update on that. They were disregarded it in here because it didn't say, it just didn't get.
This is old.
That's what I was saying, yeah, just disregard this. I'm gonna send you. Yeah, just pull this out. Well, some of it's updated, but when I saved it and when it synced up to our files, it didn't sync up right for some reason, and I missed that. So the 360 Sheridan Speed Center is working on that.
Slide on that one?
I do not have a slide on that one. They do have yes.
Sorry, I just realized, so there's one behind here that's being covered, but it's boxed up, and then these are 2 properties.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we should have 2 more buildings on there. So I think you're right. I think we do have that one covered.
Yeah, because it is,
That's scary.
Yeah, so
outlined,
maybe
just
there's,
covered.
maybe that picture represents three things.
And
And I wish they wouldn't call it a two-E family. I don't want my name on there. That's crazy. That's got nothing, I got nothing to do with that. That's just the design of the house. And if it's 3 lots, we should show that. Okay. So you gotta get with Will, you gotta get the map to show what we're really doing here.
Yes, all of it.
And 360 Sheridan, we gotta
360.
have a slide, we gotta have, you can give us the update. if you
Yeah, I'll give you the update. 360 Sheridan, so they're moving along on that. They have more students on that project than has so far. They have 2 new cohorts there and then some students that are finishing up from a prior cohort. They had gotten the roof on, to your question about what happened with the roof, they had gotten the roofing, the wood up there, and then when they finish up and they put the membrane and the roofing material on, they have some adjustments to make.
Yeah.
That you were asking about. They did have they did get hung up, they put 2 walls on the front wall and the back wall were very similar, but they're a little different. And they put them on the wrong sides. They had to swap those around and put those walls on. They were meeting with MLB this week, and I think I saw an email late today, and I did not get a chance to open it and read it. But they were going to sit down with MLB to figure out the rest of the schedule. Hoping to have this done by the end of the summer. When they say end of the summer, I'm probably thinking sometime in the fall to get this wrapped up. But once they get the roofing material on and they put the house wrap on, they can start turning their attention to the interior and start moving that along.
I urge everybody to drive by there and look at it, because it's finally something to look at. And it's not what it's supposed to look like, because they haven't put the historic front on it that the city made us put on. The gable roof that's there now is a prototype of the way we would build it normally. But because the city broke our butts about, we had to put a false facade there to make it look like an old corners. But that, that's just more work for the youth build people, if they're still working, it must be sad, because I don't know whether they're still working or not, but it's really exciting, because this is a one land bank thing that we're doing,
Yeah.
and it's actually happening, and, a 14 by 48 fits on a 20-foot lot, and we got lots of 20-foot lots, and so the idea is that we're not gonna use youth build again, we say, okay, contractor, here's 5 lots, go build this house in 5 places, for the land bank. We'll get Affordable Housing Partnership and the financing together, and it'll be just like a conveyor belt, bundling 5 at a time kind of thing. So we can tackle all these scatter site lots and do something with them productively. So that's the whole point of this pilot, right? And the only reason why we're doing it with youth build is they offered to do it for free, so we said, okay. Well, it's not for free, but.
That's it for me. I'll find that report that I actually wrote over on Friday and get it out to you by email, if that's okay. So that's it for that. We can go to committees. We'll take them to committees.
Sure.
So on committees, we do have actions out of committees, but if we can just put those into new business and just take them all at the end, it makes it a little easier when we're updating all the information.
So what would you like to do now?
We'll do the committee reports, but then we'll do any actions
Okay.
after the committee.
So we're going to do business. We're going to consider resolution number 13, which is in here somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, so out of the acquisition and disposition committee,
Okay.
resolution 13 is authorizing the sale of real property. So acquisition and disposition committee did review a,
Wait a minute, don't we have to have a resolution first?
oh, you want to make a motion in a second? Then we'll do discussion.
Yeah, so it's the last tab, folks,
Tab 6.
all right? Tab 6, which is resolution number 13. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Okay, discussion. Okay, go ahead, you have the floor.
All right, so the acquisition disposition committee reviewed staff recommendations on 256 Second Avenue in Albany for $600. That is to create a garden.
Is there a in the packet?
This is in the resolution itself.
Oh, okay.
You go to the last page of the resolution.
Sometimes we have a map so the board can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't have
So
a
there's
map.
the packet is within section,
Section 5.
That's section 5.
5, yeah.
Section 5, okay, we'll go to tab 5.
And then there's,
And what page number is it? It's not a page, pages aren't numbered, that's the problem.
Here, I'm gonna,
yeah,
you know,
Bear with me a moment.
So tab 5, what's the property we're talking about now?
66?
256 second, I found it.
Yeah, we'll make sure
Okay,
to get those pages numbered next time.
and then that's on the matrix, which is where?
The matrix was in the committee
Isn't,
report.
it's right before that. Right there.
Okay, it's pretty hard to read.
Yeah.
It's a little small.
I'm gonna put it up.
256 Second Avenue, and here's the explanation about it. You can tell us what the explanation is. Because we don't have many properties, but we'd be interested in what we're doing here.
So we have 256 Second Ave. So this is a vacant lot. There's one applicant for it. She intends to use it for a garden. She previously applied for 311 First Street, but we decided to not move that forward because we had a potential enforcement action next door to give us two lots together. So she's just looked around for another opportunity in the city. For this, she wants to maintain a personal garden that she's going to self-fund long-term. She wants to name that for her godmother. She's aware of what she has to do in terms of zoning approvals, but I believe this is going to be perfectly fine. And then her, expectations after she buys a lot, the cost that she's going to have to carry moving forward. So we did recommend, conditional approval, provided that she can demonstrate that the proposed use is an allowed use.
They live next door? Is this one on
No, she doesn't live next
No,
door.
she lives about 10 minutes away though.
the- Okay.
Mhm.
So discussion in the committee was about, gee, this looks like a buildable lot. Maybe we could put a house on it. But after we decided that, no, we're not ready to put a house on it, and by selling the lot to somebody, it doesn't preclude the possibility of going back someday and say, would you like us to put a house on there for you? Would you like to buy the lot back or something? So that's what the new real estate committee sort of is gonna be thinking about, of stuff that should really be mothballed because it's ready to go,
Right.
or, do something else.
Right.
But I think the improvement here is that we've just been giving away the vacant lots to just get them off our list. But we need to think more thoughtfully about a house, a homeowner, because that's really what our mission is. We're not in the vacant lot business, although densification is important in the neighborhood, right? Sometimes you don't want to just pack houses in, but each lot has a different story. And so that's what we're supposed to be doing on this board. And this new real estate committee is probably a good way to do it.
Good question for you. In a situation like this, because it's a pretty decent sized lot,
Yeah.
and there is potential, as you mentioned, for
Yeah.
the future. Would we be in a position to do a land lease for someone who wants to garden it for a while and then,
You could split hairs like that. It
You know.
sort of gets a little hair,
no pun intended?
Yeah.
but,
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Well,
Right?
that's-
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah, I don't
Is
know.
it worth the effort?
$600
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a house.
The
that we
legal
built for
involved with all the
180,000.
papers and all
Right, and, we still paying insurance
Yeah,
and there's the maintenance.
Well, we could turn that over to them on a land lease and make it triple net, right?
Yeah.
And
What I'm thinking of though is that the whole point of Flip the Block is to tool us up into the development business without us being too much of a developer, because our staff we're not real estate developers. But if we can bundle these things, and so the Flip the Block would generate new houses and new contractors that had to do 17 houses. Meanwhile, we're getting things like this coming to us every month. And we say, hey, here's 5 of these, let's bank these for the developer, so when he finishes on First Street, here's 5 more houses to do. So I think right now, it looks like a long ways off, but once we do Flip the Block, we now have people, we now have designs of buildings, we have the financing. Now we can say, hey, we're gonna bundle this in because the threshold is, you can only apply for 10 at a time, 5 at a time. And then that's ideally where we want to be with these lots, right?
And this one is, I come back and she initially came for Livingston Ave and we didn't give her the alternate opportunity there. We said we're gonna hold that. Went to First. We said we're not gonna, we're gonna hold that. So on here, we don't have any immediate plans in the area. And I think we've talked about the land lease piece, but it's also a chance for somebody to build their own equity. And we don't have any immediate plans for it. So I see, what Charlie was saying is that we could come back down the road. We have a plan is to
where
Attempt to
a
acquire.
vacant lot enhances, well, they said you don't build equity on a vacant lot, but they, you know, this person now owns something, a piece of the block, so to speak, as opposed to somebody from Clifton Park owning it.
Right.
So that's step one,
Right.
right? And then if you're committed to the neighborhood, and you say, hey, you'd like to see this, and say, I'd be very happy to see a house on my lot. In fact, I have a sister-in-law that would like to buy one, you know, and that's sort of mix and match kind of thing.
I think the last time we took a comprehensive look at things was with the MRV study. So I think with the change with this real estate committee, we'll have a chance to dig more into these pieces.
What precludes her from selling it to someone a few years out?
Nothing.
And, hopefully if she does, she sells it for a pretty sum and, she makes out well, right? All the best luck to her.
Okay.
But, hopefully if she's
Question,
selling it
what if
well.
they flipped it, you mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in a depressed market, so it's not like they're gonna get a $20,000 windfall, on a $500 lot. But that's something down the road. If suddenly gentrification starts to happen in the neighborhood, you have to watch out for that. Unluckily or luckily, we're dealing in a neighborhood that nobody wants right now. So this is good for us. But our mission is to build the value of the neighborhood, to build up the assessed value so that people have something, some wealth. Right?
Yeah, and we do, protect neighborhoods from sort of flips with buildings. We haven't historically done that with lots because there's not much of an appetite for it, frankly.
AHC has flip taxes and,
Yeah.
the state has things about you can't resell the house for double the money.
Right.
Also, sorry, I wanted to add, because I know I brought it up in the committee, but she is in conversation with someone from the city to talk about potentially in the next few years turning the lot into a community space. And I've been CC'd in that conversation as well.
Good. Well, you are on the ground knowing the backstory on all these things, which is important. Because we need to know the backstory on every piece of property.
Yeah.
So that we can redevelop and uplift the neighborhood
Mhm.
in many different ways. The tools in our toolbox, really. It's not one size fits all.
100%.
So that's the only one for the disposition resolution this month.
Okay?
So I got a motion from,
Yep, all those in favor of disposing of this lot signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Lot disposed of.
thank you. Next resolution on new business is resolution 14, approving and accepting a donation of real properties. The Acquisition Disposition Committee received a report. We have been,
a motion for this resolution?
I'll make that. I'll second.
Discussion. Go ahead.
thank you. So we received well, Lynette, do you want to talk about this one a little bit?
Yeah, so we received a call from someone who lived in the neighborhood. Her father passed away, and they were looking to put this property on the market, but she would prefer to do something for the community to give back, because she said that, the community has been really good to her and her family. So she really wanted to donate it to us so that we could build a home and do something nice for the community there.
And this does have a dimension that would potentially make it a buildable infill lot too.
Yeah, I was looking for the dimensions on it. What is it? The frontage is the main thing.
No, the frontage wasn't, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough that we were at 30 feet.
Yeah, 30 feet,
Yeah.
so that could be a two-family house.
30 feet by 100 something feet.
You could put a two-family house there.
125.
I think, yeah, 30 by
I think
125.
Yeah, they're all deep enough. It's all about the frontage. If it's less than 30, it has to be a single-family house. 30 or more can be a two-family house.
Yeah, so we can either we could certainly accept this donation. There's no
Yeah.
strings attached, no
Yeah.
requirements. I think we just have to make sure, do our due diligence.
Looks like a great neighborhood, and if it comes along that we could bundle it with some other lots, we could put a house there.
So resolution 14 is approving and accepting the donation of real property, including authorizing us to pay the closing costs for the donation.
Resolution. Really had a hard time keeping
Tabs.
track of all this stuff here. I see
Yeah.
13.
What's that?
Is there a value?
Just a value to it? No, we don't give it a value.
It is, the value is
Charlie,
somewhat
that's-
of value compared to the one that just.
Oh, no, come back to that page.
Yeah.
Put forward.
But it helps in that and.
You're on the right side.
Resolution
Something decent.
So you got 13.
13.
Yeah, flip through.
Keep going there. Everything you have.
Right there, next page, sorry. 14 on that side.
Resolution 14.
Yeah. And then we just have to tweak that number on the second page to a proper 14 there.
This one is we're disposing, accepting a donation.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a typo on the top.
Yeah, we'll change that from 13 to 14.
So this is a separate thing. We're requiring not disposing. And we need a separate resolution for it. You had a second and everything. Anybody want to say anything about this? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the donation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Okay, what's next? Got to go back to the agenda.
So resolution 15, so I said in the finance committee, we did get the grant for LBI phase 2. I went back and looked and we had not done a resolution to accept LBI phase 2 previously, but I think we really
Okay,
did.
resolution 15 is the next thing.
Resolution
Okay,
15.
authorizing executive director to execute a grant agreement. Okay, do I have a motion? Second. Okay, discussion.
Just like to be able to accept our grant agreement from New York State HCR for phase 2 of the Land Bank Initiative. That's the capital program that we applied for 200,000 or 2 million for.
That's the annual.
That's the capital program. Now, LBI phase 1 is the annual operating
So
grant.
this- Yeah, so this is 2 million to do what with?
This is for the capital project. So this is our demos, our rehabs, all of the capital expenses. that we-
So bricks and mortar.
Bricks and mortar.
Not administration.
There'll be a little, we can charge a little bit of
Yeah, yeah,
administration,
yeah.
program administration. and
Yeah,
yes.
so what are we gonna do with the 2 million?
So we are doing the rehab of 25 North First Street. We planned on doing the rehab of Homestead. However,
We're gonna sell them.
we're gonna try to sell Homestead and then take the money that we would have spent on Homestead and do
Yeah, yeah,
Judson.
yeah. Do we get this every year?
No, it's not a guarantee. We have to apply for it this is an 18-month contract.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we have 2 million to play with,
Yes.
and separate from the grant that we get for admin.
Mhm.
Right, sort of the land bank association grant, the state gives to all the land banks.
Mhm.
Right.
That's money to keep the doors open. This is money to do the program.
This is, right, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the 250 in the county is sort of either one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Anybody want to say anything about this resolution? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, the resolution accepted. Okay. 16.
16, so in the governance committee, in the meeting summary, you'll see what was discussed there. Last year, I talked to the board about reorganizing our committees to streamline our processes a little bit more. And so the outcome in that committee this month was to recommend changes to the bylaws to the board. I will say that we won't be voting on these bylaws this month because we do have to give at least 10 days notice to the county legislature, to the chair of the legislature, for any comments or questions or anything that they may have for it. So this resolution would allow us to have you receive the recommendations from the committee, send those to the chair of the county legislature, and then consider those in June. So let me walk through a summary of the changes to the bylaws. I did attach, and I did a lot, a marked up copy where you see strikeouts and underlines and additives. So, and I have to send those over to our attorney's office too, to make sure that those are all set.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
So
It's in the
What
back,
page are you talking about now?
in the back.
it's after the resolution, but I'm gonna summarize it because I'll lose you on all this red line pieces.
Since the announcement is correct, I'm not sure.
Yeah. If you want, I can send you the red line
The
copy.
original is moving.
But generally what we're doing is we're maintaining the audit, finance, and governance committees. One of the things that during the annual evaluation of board performance, there were some questions whether or not people really always understood what the charges were. And so taking a look at the Authority Budget Office and their recommendations for committee charges for these required committees, audit, finance, and governance. Audit and finance, I modified a little bit to reflect some of those pieces from the Authority's Budget Office. The governance committee, we had pretty much already done that. We pretty much mirrored that already. So those would be maintained. What we would do is we would shift the monthly review of financials and take the Human Resource Committee into a monthly executive committee with the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. They all made up pretty much all those other committees as well. So rather than having all these separate committees that meet for 20 minutes and get off the phone, wait 10 minutes to get back together, we're just trying to get them all to work on the same pieces. But we still have to maintain that independence on those other areas. So that's how we would handle the executive committee to take audit, finance, and governance, which would really meet like once, twice a year to deliver its mandated charge. The executive committee is going to be probably more of the workhorse along with a real estate committee. What we found is that acquisition and disposition, enforcement and compliance often have some similar interests. Case in point being 311 and 309 First Street. We had an application for 311, we had a potential enforcement at 309. Bringing those together gave us two lots together that maybe we did not want to sell those, but they're sort of working in different lanes, and so we're trying to get through that. We also, in the annual meeting, talked about a real estate development committee, and I remember Mark was very much interested in that. But that committee has not really been active in there at all. And so taking all those pieces together, the discussion was, and the recommendation was to take those three committees into a real estate committee that can comprehensively discuss. We can reestablish those. I think it's going to be pretty similar to what we have now.
Well, I mean, people that are serving on the committee still, they can
Yeah.
still stay on the committee. You know,
Yeah.
Acquisition and disposition becomes real estate, so you're still on the committee, it's just a different name. Enforcement, there might be one different board member, they're still on the committee. So they're not throwing people off a committee.
No, there's plenty of committee work to do here. We also talked about adding a provision that committees established by a resolution that are not part of the bylaws. Underserved Communities Committee is a good example of one of those committees by resolution. The current Real Estate Development Committee is a committee by resolution. We'd like to add a provision in there that keeps those committees established by resolution active until the next annual meeting, organizational meeting of the board. At that point, if we're going to continue that committee, then as part of the annual actions, we'll continue that committee. Otherwise, if we don't continue that committee's work would be completed and the committee would be discharged. We also have in the bylaws for chair, we call it chair or president, and we call it vice chair or vice president. I think we probably just drop the president and vice president titles, call it a chair, call it a vice chair. And then we have to refer those changes to the county legislature.
Oh, that has to be approved by the county legislature.
Well, they have to get, and for the section 10 or article 14, as provided by our certificate of incorporation, the bylaws of the corporation can be amended or repealed at any regular meeting upon an affirmative vote, and only after advance notice of 10 days has been given to all board members and chair of the county legislature.
It's not an approval, right? Just
Right.
it's
Oh,
an
gotcha, we
advance
just have to
Right.
give them notice, okay.
So this
So in
resolution.
theory, could they speak up and say something? Last time we did the whole bylaws overhaul, you guys may recall that,
Yeah,
that took a little bit of back and forth, but there was a lot more substance in that change than
Yeah.
this. So maybe ask some questions.
okay. Yeah, I was about to say, if they have to take a vote on it, we should probably wait till we, have run it by them first. But
Yeah.
Since that's not the case, I'm okay with it.
No, we found a couple of typos, we're cleaning up some formatting. So those things are really not consequential here. It may look a little different, you put them side by side. But we do have in the resolution, there is a red line copy, although it didn't print red. And then there's line numbers too. So if you see something that's kind of off, if you refer to the page and the line number, we can find out exactly where your concern or question might be, but, this resolution of the board, number 16, would require me to get this to the county legislature within the 5 business days. And so we're gonna keep this moving along.
So you need action tonight of some kind?
I'd like a resolution where the board is receiving the recommendation from the governance committee, so you're receiving this red line set of bylaws, and then we're transmitting that to the county.
But corporate council hasn't reviewed it yet,
We still have time for changes.
even within the 5 days, but we wouldn't have a chance. If something wasn't in compliance with our regs in the state, went to corp council, they came back and said, no, you can't do this and this, we wouldn't have time.
But we don't have to constantly go back and forth on this to a final set.
So here are my thoughts. I do think it's important that we take a look at it. Does it need to be in final form before you send it to the legislature? No, but I wouldn't want to be sending them multiple versions. I think it will look disorganized. So I do think that we should take a look, and I think that the resolution here should be, are we in agreement with this process and taking these changes? If yes, direct us to go ahead and make those changes to the bylaws. We will do that. We will share it with the county legislature, and then the board is required to have 10 days notice before voting. So that would be planned for the next monthly meeting. That way, then you will have the language and you will know, okay, we've already given notice to the county legislature. We're good to go ahead and vote.
Because that's kind of where my head was at about that direction. And then also putting that on the councils to make sure that we're in compliance with everything we need to be in compliance
That's right.
with these changes. With
That's
the committee structure, that's my bigger concern.
Yeah.
Who was in the governance committee meeting? Me and you, and who else?
Monday.
I couldn't make it. That's right. So we did go over this stuff, okay? So I just want the board to know that we have gone over it. Not the thing about the chair, vice chair, that part, I don't remember discussing any of that. That's just window dressing. So the governance committee, with the executive director, said we need to change the bylaws this way. We agreed with it. You're right, that we'll have the resolution tonight, reviewed by council, then send it up there, right?
Yeah, and then we'll, assuming everything goes well, next meeting, we'll vote on this again to confirm the changes.
The adoption of the change.
And the big picture was, we had a lot of committees that, when you say enforcement and real, and acquisition, especially with smaller number of properties now, we shouldn't have all these meetings if we don't need to. It's not that we're being less transparent, we're just consolidating.
Trying to be more efficient.
And if we suddenly have 200 properties to deal with them, and do something else,
Good problem to have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so they need to have, so we might want to change, item 2 in the resolution here. They said we would send it in
What
5
page are you
days.
talking about? Where are you in this?
I'm in the resolution, on the second
16.
page of the resolution,
Second page of the resolution.
on number 16. It's item 2, it says the executive director is hereby directed to provide formal written notice of the proposed bylaw amendments within 5
Page
business
1 of
days.
19. Okay, right here, okay.
Yeah.
But if we approve this resolution,
Well, I think we need to give council more time than that, I need to send it on.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
proposed
so we
yet.
can't do it with the.
So we shouldn't vote that.
I think,
Correct.
I think that what we're voting on is that we agree with proceeding with these changes and having council review. Upon council's review, we can share it and start the notice process with the county legislature, but we're not voting on the actual changes.
Okay, good. So do we need to change the wording of the resolution?
I haven't even seen a copy of the resolution.
So,
Yeah.
And if
We
you
need
have a copy, I
15
can look at it
days.
right now.
so wouldn't we really at this point be making really a motion to refer this to council?
Yeah,
For
I like
review.
that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So I can make that motion.
Okay, second?
Third.
Okay.
And then
Put that in the
Sean,
new bylaws too, I like that.
Sean, well, we can help you
Yeah.
clean up the resolution if you want to send me a copy of that as well.
Well, so then do we not want to send this to the legislature yet then?
Not yet, no, not, so we'll take a look at it and then,
So will we have it to them before the June meeting?
yes, absolutely.
So then that's what I'm saying, could do we,
Is there a time of the essence on changing the bylaw?
Is there a clock ticking on it for some reason?
No, but you know,
So give it time.
we can give it time.
I also, because there's some people missing too, so I think it'd be good to include a lot more people.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then is you would like to, in the interim between the next meeting, have us take a look at the bylaws. That way, the proposed changes will come to you first. You'll vote, we'll bring it to the county legislature. And when we pass it in June, it can be, it can be subject to the notice period to the county legislature.
But I don't think we need a resolution for that at all.
Right now, no, if that's what we're going to do, there's no
I
resolution.
just made a motion to do that, so it's an action of the board, that's all.
Okay, a motion to
Have
Council review it. Well, we
To have
oppose.
council review and then get it back to the staff.
all those in favor?
I,
I,
Okay.
You can make that sound more
What's that?
formal, right?
I believe that gets us to the end.
Yeah, sure, that's not by any means to make this seem like it's a delay of any kind, it's just procedural.
No, I hear you, I hear you. Yeah,
I get it, I like.
we've been working, I mean, we've been, I think we're balancing trying to keep the ball moving here.
You're in go mode, and I appreciate that a lot, I really do, because I don't like to delay things at all, but.
Yeah, we can get stuck in an analysis paralysis on some days, so I appreciate it. So we'll do that. We'll tweak that up a little bit. And then so in June, hopefully we can then approve a resolution or transmit it to the ledge and then act on it in July. It just, the only thing that delays is like getting that real estate committee actually working.
I'm looking forward to it.
it'll be nice to not jump on and jump off,
That's
and
right.
just stay on and run through everything.
Yeah.
Okay, we've done the resolutions. You said to skip item 5 on the agenda, report of the committees.
No, the item 5 is, I mean, the reports of the committees are all in here. They're all sent to you. ahead of
Oh, yes,
time.
but we haven't discussed them. So we talked about acquisition, finance, you talked about, acquisition and disposition, we did that one parcel.
Yep, we did that one parcel. We did
I
that.
don't believe we did enforcement and compliance.
Well, we can run through that report for you. Now, where did my enforcement and compliance go?
Where is that in our package?
That's also in tab 5.
5, okay. Where's finance, where's finance? It's a no page number, so we can go to page number, so.
since I didn't
Okay, yeah,
see
keep going, Kat.
I'll put it up here for you. Make it easier.
Oh, yeah, but you have a packet here, so that's why you did the packet. Okay, it's no page number, but it is,
this one.
I found it. It's enforcement and compliance of today, here we are. Okay, and is there the slide for that? Yes, that's
Yeah.
that one, and is there a slide in our
The
packet?
same one's in the packet. But
And then this narrative goes with that?
that does go with that.
Okay, so we have 2 items.
You have 2 items.
Enforcement and compliance, you
Yep.
can't read them, okay, good, so we can read them.
First one is 412 3rd Street. This is one that we sold in October 21. Should have been completed a year later. As of April, they owe $5,000 in taxes for 23 through
You
25.
can put-
We didn't have an inspection. So there's a lot of issues with it that are in the notes there. I'm happy to go through them. But at the end of the day, the staff recommends that we start our process to issue a notice to protect our ability to get this in deed in lieu of foreclosure.
We can't read that.
What's that?
We can't read that.
He had mentioned, we could,
Just slide it over a little.
do you want us to read it? That's what he asked.
Yeah, I have this in your packet.
Okay, good. Here we go, and here's the slide in your packet, right?
Mhm.
Which is, you can't do both things at once, but you can put the slide up, right? That's the one we're talking about.
Right,
So this
that's
is
the
an
one.
enforcement issue, and staff recommends us to do what with it?
To initiate the notification process.
Yeah. In other words, we've gone as far as we can go with them.
Right.
The deed in lieu, or how do we do this?
We start a notification process to take this as deed in lieu of foreclosure. Then the other one here is 309
Okay,
First Street.
or 309 first.
And that
What's
was-
the backstory on that one?
Well, this is the one, this is another, This is another deed in lieu of foreclosure opportunity we talked about previously. They owe $2,000 in taxes. They haven't had any in-person inspections, no extensions have been completed. They're from out of town, so they weren't available. So this has been going on for years, so we're now gonna just get this wrapped up.
Yeah.
So exterior photos in April of this year, so a couple of weeks ago, showed that the building is in worse condition than when we sold it.
Yeah.
It's not gotten any better. And that's next to that 311 First Street lot.
Yeah, and so enforcement and compliance, took your staff recommendations, we agreed with it, we're bringing it to the board. And this is a sad story because it's just bringing the neighborhood down. At least our name's not on the building, right, when it's causing rot on the block. And the only thing is, now that we have new staff and everything, we would be, do this sooner, right? How old is this one?
Years old.
Yeah, so we want to get the new regime where we're going to be on top of these things, right? Because it behooves all of us to not let this thing deteriorate anymore. If they're not going to do it, first we do the nice letter, then the hammer,
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all on enforcement?
That's all for enforcement and the governance.
We already did governance, okay, and we're doing all new business.
Yeah.
Anything else before the board? Anybody want to talk about anything?
Yeah. This agenda for the board meeting was very, very neat and well put together.
I agree.
However, I found it time consuming because of the way it was put together. I spent 25 years in the governor's counsel's office. Michael Whiteman was one of my bosses. And I find that when you do something like this, sometimes there's information that should be to the board is missing.
Well, I would say in deference to the staff, that this is the first time, when I first came in here, I went, this is great. I'm really excited.
But once you got inside,
Yeah, it's not
not.
organized, so you just.
No, we're starting somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Just put the pages, numbers.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
This is just, I'm glad you're doing it, we're gonna keep doing it, and it'll just, so for the next meeting, this will coordinate with the screen, and we'll all be fine.
And does that mean every meeting we're gonna get a new one of these?
Nope, you're gonna leave, you're welcome to take the pages out of here.
Okay.
Otherwise, we've emailed
Keep
it
the
to you.
binder though. You gotta-
But keep the binders,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
keep,
yeah.
just leave the binders
Yeah.
behind. If you'd like to take any material out, please do.
You can even take the pen.
You can take the pen, yes,
Yeah.
please.
But you
Please take
emailed
the
this to us, right?
We email that to
Yeah,
you,
we
but rather than
email it.
having, rather than, what we've done in the past, right, is we just
That's right.
printed out the whole pack and be like, here you
That's right,
go.
That's right.
And so, please work with Shelby to get this, I think, better organized, so we can walk through there, but we're learning, there's things that you wanna see there a little differently, we can tweak
I
that a
think we
lot,
can
but.
also just, go back to a little bit how it was before, like having the resolutions with the committees, instead of having them. to the-
You know what, I'm not even gonna micromanage you. You
No, no,
heard the
yeah.
sense of the
No,
board.
but for sure, it's always,
Yeah.
always open to.
Well, I wanted-
to
yeah.
having
One of the
ideas,
things
you
I
know?
say is number the pages, so we know which page
Yeah.
we're talking about, just like when we do financial, we say, what line are you talking about? Right, because then the board members lose that.
Well, we're giving you the reports to the committees ahead of time, rather than just give you the report here in the meeting.
Well, that's nice, but when you have the board meeting and you have something on the table, it has to flow. Let's put it that way, it has to flow.
So, yeah, I mean, we can do that, but I think, we'll talk about that a little bit more. I'd like to keep your resolutions in new business, but if the board wants to,
I never said what to do with it. All I'm saying is that it's been confusing for us in some areas, and so just, you heard the sense of the board, the next meeting, it'll be a little better. Right? Starting with page numbers.
You can structure it around the new committee structure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, make it a little easier.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a quick question. Do we talk to the Senate and Assembly about us? I was just at a function and one of our senators said to me, I need to know about the land bank.
which senator? Well, we only have one. She was at our She was at our 257 Second Street, and we all know how to find, we do talk
Who are you
periodically,
talking
but.
The one, they,
Mhm.
she just wants to, she said, I need to know more about land.
Yeah. So what are we gonna do about that?
Your senator would be,
She's new, she's a
Bailey.
new senator. too.
Yeah.
And she's very involved in what's going on in the city of Albany. She was, an assemblywoman that I worked with before she became senator. See, I've been in the Senate and Assembly for the last 30 or 40 years. So I know most of the players, okay? Neil Breslin, who, retired, was an excellent senator for the whole city of Albany. So,
I'm more of a Bruno fan, but I'm not just messing with you.
So Senator
I
Fahey,
was there when Bruno was there.
so Senator Fahey said, what's going on with the land?
That's, so I said,
So what
All right.
do we do about
I
that?
said,
Yeah.
Sean will,
I've known Senator Fahey when she was a school board member, so
Really?
Yeah, so what are we gonna do with that comment?
I'll reach out to her.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'll reach out to her.
And
Great.
her communications person, Mark Johnson, is Reverend Johnson's son.
All right.
And she's got hands-on what's going on in the Albany area.
Yeah, no, we stay we communicate with them whenever we have something going on, even if it's not something that we need, just to let them know. Like we said, we did the
Consider it an
ribbon cutting.
invitation, she'll be here. And the land bank is also McGuire out of Cahoes in the assembly. Because he comes down from Cahoes all the way down, to Coben Avenue on this side of the street.
Okay.
Last things for you,
I'd like to
Committee
make a
meetings
motion
on-
to,
June 11th, Juneteenth celebration down at the Alice Moore Center on June 14th. We expect to be there. Hope to see you out there, and then the board will meet again on June 7th.
I could make a motion to unanimous consent for adjournment.
Al, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Tried to do that last month and I couldn't.